Hello and welcome back to Wireman's Whimsy. We are doing our last card using the Natural Botanicals stamp set, and I've got the Greetings from Unbounded Love. This one I've got a basic black card base. I've put a smoky slate piece inside for writing on. This is smoky slate with the largest of the Everyday Arches dies, and then this is basic black with silver embossing on it with the With Sympathy using the Arches dies as well. And I've got some of the flat pearls, the in color flat pearls, just up here, just to add just a little bit of interest. So the card we're going to make on the video today is actually going to be a happy birthday card, but I wanted to show that you can use the stamps with the Versamark to create different kinds of looks. So I'm just going to pop this one off to the side. So to build this one, I've got a Daffodil Delight card base. I've got a 5 1/4 by 4 that I use to cut the largest of the Everyday Arches out of, and that is going to be my background. I'm not doing anything with that. So you can actually cut out from the middle of this if you want to. Then I've got a 5 1/4 by 4 that I will cut out with the second largest of the Everyday Arches dies. And I also have a scrap piece that I'm going to use with the second smallest die to cut out the happy birthday. So I'm going to do some blending brushwork on the basic white. And then I'm going to add in my Versamarked leaves. Now, there's two ways to do this. If you blend and want to ink up, then you need to let the paper dry, because otherwise when you put your embossing powder on, all it's going to do is stick to everything instead of just your Versamarked piece. So we're going to do the emboss resist option, which means we're going to do our embossing first. Now, when you do it this way, if you're using basic white, you can emboss in clear or you can emboss in white, and I'm going to emboss in white. So I'm going to grab my Versamark and I'm going to Versamark up the leaves, and I'm just going to pop them around like this and come in like this. Keeping in mind we are going to be cutting this out. So if you don't have things right up to the corner, you don't actually need them. I'm just holding it into the light so I can see where I've used the Versamark and where I haven't. So I'm just going to pop that one down like that. And then this one on this corner like this. Okay, so we're just going to peel that off. We're also going to do the happy birthday, but I'm going to do that in 2 steps. So I'll do the happy birthday afterwards. So I'm just going to pick this up. I've got my white embossing powder, and I'm just going to sprinkle it over the whole card. We're just going to keep adding that powder, and then we'll just flip it around. And this even looks pretty if we heat emboss this and just leave it as white on white. That's also a really pretty look. Very nice for a wedding card, if you have a wedding card that you need to do. Okay, so I'm just going to set that to the side, and then I'm going to stamp the happy birthday with the Versamark. Okay, and we're going to stamp this down like that, and then we're going to add our powder to it, and then we're going to heat emboss the whole thing. And once we've heat embossed it, we're going to do the blending brushwork. If you prefer to do it the other way, I would recommend doing your blending brushwork about an hour before you're actually going to do the heat embossing. So we're just going to start with the heat embossing and just carry on. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pause the video and do the heat embossing on this one, and then I'll come right back to you. Okay, we're just finishing up our heat embossing with the leaves here. There we go. I'm just going to check to see if there's any dull pieces. The dull bits mean that the powder has not yet melted. So we're going to put this off to the side. I've got my happy birthday here. We're going to move all of this out of the way, and then we are going to just do our blending brush work, keeping in mind that we're cutting these out, so it's not super critical that we go right to the edge of the paper. And then we're just going to do some Daffodil Delight kind of in the middle, and then we'll do some Granny Apple Green on the end here. And once you've done that, you can take a tissue and you can just wipe that off, so you can see the happy birthday on there, and you're just taking the ink off the words themselves. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to do exactly the same thing with the leaves. We're just going to come in and we're going to do just some coloring around. And then we're going to come in with the Daffodil Delight. Again, keeping in mind that we are going to be cutting this out. Okay, and then we're going to come back in with some Granny Apple Green. And if when you cut it out, you think there's some color missing, or you'd like to deepen the color a little bit somewhere, you absolutely can. You can add color whenever you want. So I'm going to leave it like that for now. I'm just going to close up all my ink pads, and then I'm going to wipe this down, and then I'm going to run these pieces through the cut and emboss machine. So I'm just going to just wipe this off. It's a nice, soft, subtle effect. It almost looks the same as if you do the white heat embossing afterwards, but you just, when you do the color afterwards, it does tend to stay in the heat embossing just a little bit, but it's not a huge deal. It just makes it a little bit softer and subtler. Okay, so we're going to pop this down so that we can do the die cut here. I'm not going to worry about fixing this down because it doesn't really matter where that one cuts out. This happy birthday, though, it does matter. So I am going to use a sticky note to hold it down. And I just get my sticky notes at the dollar store. It's just inexpensive. I use them 2 or 3 times and they get thrown away. So I'm not overly worried about the quality of their stickiness. I just need them to be sticky a couple of times. So, okay, let's run that whole thing through the cut and emboss machine, and then we can build our card. So I have had some people request that I show how I do everything in the video, because sometimes, just to save time, I do some pre-work, and I've had people say that they'd like to see the whole process. So sometimes those videos are just a little bit longer. Okay, so let's get this out of the way. And we're just going to go ahead and we're going to adhere this to our basic white mat. And again, you can cut the middle of this out if you want to conserve paper. So we're just going to pop that down like that. Okay. And I'm okay with there being nothing in the middle because I'm going to be popping this on top. So we're going to get our dimensionals out, which I know I had out before I started. But we'll just get a brand new pack. There they are. I was going to say, as soon as I get a new pack out, I will find the ones that I put right on the counter so that I could find them really quickly. So let's just go ahead and pop this down. I'm really excited to see how this one works. And I love doing things in different colorways. I quilt, and I'll see a pattern in a quilting magazine, and I think, oh, well, that's nice, but I really don't like the colors. I'm not really, fussed about the quilt. And then at the end of the pattern, they will show 2 or 3 other colorways, and suddenly I'm in love with the quilt. So I really do like to present things in different colors because it really makes a difference to what catches your eye sometimes. Okay, so we're going to pop this down right here. Just a little bit off the edge, but not completely off the edge. Like that. And then we're going to grab, these are Darling Duckling. They are the in color flat pearls, but I'm not too worried about them being Darling Duckling because they're going to show up really nicely on the Daffodil Delight. So there we go. I am really pleased with how this one turned out. And those are the 2 options. Great sympathy card, a really pretty happy birthday card, and either one somebody would be happy to receive. So thank you so much for watching, and let's create together again soon.